Raise the alarm! Hey guys, it's DC here. Today I've got Nick, who's a systems support officer. He's from Brisbane, Australia. He's an old friend of mine, and I just wanted to ask him a couple of questions so that we could get the system support interview out of the way. So Nick, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Good. All right, let's jump straight in. So, what is your job title, and how long have you been working in the position you're in at the moment?
So my job title is System Support Officer, and I've been in the position that I'm in for just shy of 2 years now.
Sweet. And that's a government role, I believe?
Yeah, yep. I'm
Yeah.
working for the IT team that supports the emergency services across Queensland. So we do central monitoring for them and tier 2 troubleshooting and resolution.
Sweet. Okay. And do you have sort of like a hand in any of the sort of cybersecurity stuff? Because my channel is all about cybersecurity.
Um,
So yeah.
Yeah, we interact with the cybersecurity team a fair bit, whether it's managing sort of the load balancers or firewall rules or issues with networking that might have resolved from jobs that they're undertaking. So yeah, we do have a little bit of a hand in it, and we always get the communications from them and everything that they're doing as well. So yeah,
Sweet.
bits and pieces.
Yeah. Cool. All right, next question. How did you get to where you are today in regards to the certifications and experience?
So I started out straight out the door of high school. I went into university and I did a double degree in IT and corporate systems management. And from there, I spent, 2.5 years doing that. Went overseas for a year, worked for Apple, doing localization testing for a year there, and came back, finished the rest of my degree. And between that and a lot of different little jobs I had along the way, some of which were thanks to you. Yeah, it got me to where I am now. So
Sweet. So with the Apple gig in that was overseas in Ireland, I think from memory.
yep.
Yeah, what was that all about? That I'd never really asked you actually.
Yeah, so the localization testing, they basically wanted someone from each region, and from certain countries as well to come in and test their products, because as you know, Apple has lots of products that can be used in different markets, and they have specific functions. Like if you'd imagine Siri, for example, is just one product that could have a market for different countries, different accents. It's hard to understand certain people, so they needed
Right.
testers from each country for certain products like that. And a mate of mine who I was working with basically told me about the job opportunity and that it was apply online. So I did the interview and got the job, and they flew me out there and worked there for a
That's
year.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland would have been fun as well. I'm sure you got a
Yeah.
lot of other stuff done there as
Oh
well while you're
yeah,
there.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a very involved culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's a
they're
way to say it.
fantastic place to live, and it's a central IT and business hub of a large portion of Western Europe. So
Yeah.
that was
Bit of
a
a tax haven
fantastic
as
place to
well,
be.
which is probably why there's so many big
Yeah.
businesses over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Their economic decisions saved them from the recession
Yeah.
relatively recently. So yeah, no, it's a good place to live for a year.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. That would have been a fun experience.
Yeah.
So certifications wise, have you, apart from the double degree, have you got any like industry specific certs like a CCNA or MCSE stuff like that?
Not at the moment, because my role is fairly generalized. I've been waiting a little bit to focus on my certificates. I have done a fair amount of training. I've done a lot of network training at university, so I did do all of the fundamentals required for CCNA, and networking and cybersecurity are the path that I'd be looking into. After this role, if I were to branch out a little bit.
Yep.
But besides the degree, none yet, other than just lots of training sessions on different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of the time as well, it comes down to your experience rather than the qualifications, especially somewhere smaller like Brisbane. You can sort of, yeah, you can get pretty far without doing the industry specific certs unless they are asked for. in which case most of the time they'll pay for you to do it anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, we kind of get lucky here for that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd say so.
not so
Well,
much in like the US or somewhere. It's a bit different there.
yeah, definitely. There are lots of opportunities. As you said, businesses will happily pay for it if required. So
Yeah,
IT pretty much has multiple paths, just as you know, because you can go through certificates. You can start with TAFE. You can start with university. You can do a multitude of things in order to make your way into the IT industry, and it's so versatile because there's just an unimaginable amount of jobs, not only here but the rest of the world. So it's
yeah,
good
that's a
industry.
bit. They're always changing as well. So that's which is good as well because it keeps everyone sort of excited
Yeah,
about what they're doing or at least interested. So
yeah,
that's
definitely.
good. All right. Next question is, what does a typical day at work look like?
Typical day. So I get to work at either 6:30 a.m. or p.m. because I'm a shift worker.
Wow.
And when I arrive there, I'd clock in immediately. We can just do that from our phone or from the web browser. Um, and I'd sit down, make sure all of the checks that had been performed on the previous shift were all good, and I'd start going through. First, I'd have to open up all my monitoring tools. I'd have my email open, going through everything as well. So we start out just sort of checking over what's been done the last few shifts, and whether any issues were identified or major incidents occurred. We'd run through any of the handover stuff that had been passed on from the last shift, and basically prepare ourselves to perform anything that was required of us that day, because we have the monitoring tasks that are pretty much 24/7. Like we don't stop with those. We'd have
Yep.
the tasks that have been passed to us to do, and then we'd have constant monitoring of emails and communication from other teams that we'd need to work on. So get through all of that, continue to monitor any major incidents that occur, need a lot of communication through different teams. As I mentioned before, we speak to the cybersecurity team as just one of those. We've got, software teams and networking teams as well. Pretty much anything you can think of. It's a pretty big organization, so plenty of communication needs to be kept up, and basically manage them as we go. Our sort of secondary priority is queue management, getting through all of the jobs that we're sent that are less of a priority, because priority would come through either monitoring or phone calls or the handover. And just working through all of those bit by bit over the course of the day.
Does the shit sort of hit the fan very often? Like, is it often that there's a massive emergency situation that you really need to be all hands on deck for, or?
Well, with systems this large, I think it's almost inevitable that things go wrong, especially if you're improving things all the time. I don't think any large organization can safely say that when they upgrade a certain part of their infrastructure or their applications that it's gonna just off the bat work perfectly well, unless their entire organization is maybe devoted to development of that. And even then, every bit of software and every bit of infrastructure requires debugging and constant troubleshooting. Doesn't
For
matter
sure.
where you are, what you're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course, we have our incidents, whether they're related to a change or whether it's something that's built up over time. Nothing out of the ordinary, I'd say. But
Yeah.
definitely happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess that's sort of the case with any sort of larger organization, especially one that covers so many different other agencies in
Yeah,
government.
definitely.
Yeah, there'd be stuff happening there all the time. Even the guys working the knock shift are going to be they're
Yeah,
going to be hit pretty hard, but well, probably harder than anyone else actually, because that's when all the sort of outage windows happen anyway, and that's when
yep,
sort of things tend to break as well.
yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, no. Um, is there much coding involved in your daily job and PowerShell doesn't count?
They try to focus on PowerShell a bit sometimes,
Yeah,
just for automation, because it's easy to
yeah,
craft little tools. But in terms of coding, not so much at the moment. We do have a dedicated coder on our team. He has a background in it. He's developed a lot of little applications and services for various teams he's been on, and as a hobby. We have the opportunity to move towards coding, and I think with the uptake of the cloud, everybody wants AWS applications developed these days. It seems to be a big thing in Brisbane. So we have those opportunities, and training is made available to us. So while we may not focus too heavily on coding currently on our team, we do have the software development team who only do coding for the most part, and troubleshooting. We focus more on the systems administration side of things, and general monitoring.
Yeah. I got a question actually that I didn't write down, but I thought I'd just ask it anyway. A lot of the systems Linux based, and you don't have to answer that if it's gonna get into trouble or anything.
No, I think the short answer is we have a mixture of systems. So while they're not all Windows based or whatever, we definitely would have some of varying operating systems, including more of the Linux based stuff.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. Alrighty. Last question is, what were your expectations going into this role, and what was the actual reality?
My expectations, I guess I didn't really understand the role all that well. Like, the role description was pretty accurate with what we were doing, but because they asked a variety of different technical and communication-based questions, I sort of, there's a lot more to do than I expected it would be. I thought it would be mostly a tier 2 troubleshooting thing with a bit of monitoring on the side, but we're involved in resolution of a large amount of incidents and changes that might occur across the organization, and it's a lot more generalized and hands-on than I thought it would be. And honestly, it's better than I thought it would be. I was convinced by my manager to accept the offer, because I had actually taken another offer and had been working in that role for a month. And he called me up when the position became available, and he said to me, look, I think the role would be really good for you. I think you'll be able to branch out and do all sorts of things if you wanted to. And it's just...
I remember this. Yeah, I remember this now. I'd completely forgotten about all of that.
Yeah, he talked it up to
right,
me, and it was 100% worth it. I love the role. I love everything I do, and I have plenty of opportunity, and it's definitely exceeded my expectations.
Sweet. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming on the call. It's been good to have you here, and good to chat again after I don't know, a couple of years maybe.
Yeah, it's been a
apart
while.
from the random Facebook message, but
every now and then.
no, it's good. It's good. I'll thanks for that, and I'll see you around.
Cool. Cheers, man. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, dude.
I could stay like this, forever following you. Just don't get too far.